You'd think sleeping next to rattlesnakes means certain death. Native Americans did it nightly for centuries and barely got bitten. They discovered something shocking about snake behavior that completely flips everything you know about these deadly killers upside down. What they know will blow your mind. The first secret lies in understanding the enemy. Native Americans didn't just guess their way through snake country. They watched, they learned, they survived by understanding exactly how rattlesnakes think and move. Think rattlesnakes are out there plotting your demise? Think again. These reptiles aren't sitting around a campfire planning midnight attacks on sleeping humans. Most snake bites happen because someone stepped on a snake or sat down next to one without looking. The snake didn't hunt them down. It was just chilling in its favorite spot when suddenly, boom, giant human foot appears. Native tribes spent generations figuring out exactly when and where snakes like to hang out. Spring meant hungry snakes coming out of winter hiding spots. Summer brought active hunting during cooler evening hours. Fall had snakes looking for warm places to spend the winter. Each season had its own snake schedule, and smart people paid attention. Rattlesnakes are basically living thermostats. They can't make their own body heat like we can. When the sun goes down and temperatures drop, they need to find warmth somewhere. You might think a nice warm human would be perfect. Wrong. Snakes actually avoid large warm objects most of the time. Big warm things usually mean danger, kind of like how you avoid that one friend who always wants to borrow money. Traditional knowledge wasn't written in books. It was passed down through stories, warnings, and hands-on teaching. Elders would point out the rocky ledges where snakes like to sun themselves during the day. They'd show young people the thick brush piles that made perfect snake apartments. Dry creek beds were basically snake highways. Avoid sleeping there unless you wanted unwanted visitors. The cold-blooded reality meant snakes moved in predictable patterns. Early morning, they'd be sluggish and slow, midday heat, hidden in shade somewhere. Evening warmth, time for dinner hunting. Midnight cold, curled up tight trying to stay warm. Knowing these patterns was like having a snake weather forecast, except way more useful than regular weather forecasts. Different tribes developed different approaches, sharing one common thread: respect for snake behavior without unnecessary fear. Snakes weren't evil monsters, they were just animals trying to survive, same as everyone else. This wasn't about conquest, it was more like being a good neighbor who doesn't throw loud parties next to the grumpy guy's house. Understanding snake behavior was just the first crucial step in this ancient survival system. What came next turned the ground itself into a completely safe snake-free zone. Ground preparation was the difference between a peaceful night and waking up with a rattlesnake roommate. Native Americans turned campsite clearing into an art form that kept dangerous visitors away. Ever tried to clean your room by just moving the mess around? That doesn't work with snake safety. The first rule of safe sleeping was complete ground clearing, not just a quick sweep with your foot. We're talking serious real estate renovation. Every blade of grass, every fallen leaf, every small log, every loose rock, gone. Snakes love hiding spots, and a messy campsite was basically a snake apartment complex. Native Americans didn't just clear the ground, they created barriers. Ash circles from previous campfires became the ultimate snake deterrent. Why? Snakes hate the texture of ash under their bellies. It's rough, irritating, and gets between their scales. Imagine sliding down a slide made of sandpaper. That's what ash feels like to a snake's belly. Some regions took ground preparation to the next level with sleeping platforms. These weren't fancy structures, just branches lashed together or animal hides stretched between supports. The goal was getting human bodies off the ground entirely. A snake might cruise through the area at night, but it probably wouldn't climb up to investigate a sleeping platform. Water sources created their own challenges for campsite selection. Snakes needed water for survival, and they knew that water attracted prey animals. Setting up camp too close to a stream or spring was like opening a 24-hour diner for every predator in the area. Smart campers found the sweet spot, close enough to access water easily, far enough away to avoid the nightly animal parade. Natural shade presented similar problems. That nice shady spot under the big tree looked perfect for avoiding hot sun during the day. Shade also attracted snakes looking to escape heat. Basically, humans and snakes had the same taste in real estate, unfortunately. The investment in ground preparation paid off night after night. A few hours of hard work during the day meant peaceful sleep without constantly worrying about unwanted visitors. This wasn't paranoia, it was intelligent risk management. Ground clearing kept most snakes away, though determined ones might still show up. That's where natural repellents came into play. Native Americans discovered that certain plants could turn any campsite into a no-snake zone. These natural deterrents worked better than any modern repellent spray. Sage, cedar, and sweetgrass weren't just pretty plants that smelled nice. These herbs were like natural keep out signs written in snake language. When burned at night, they created smoke that masked human scent and irritated snake tongue receptors. Nature's own bug spray, but for reptiles, snakes navigate their world primarily through smell and taste. Their forked tongues constantly flick out, collecting chemical information from the air. When strong-smelling herbs filled the area with pungent smoke, it overwhelmed their sensory system. Finding your way home while someone sprayed perfume directly up your nose? Good luck with that. The timing of herb burning mattered. During the day, wind patterns could blow smoke away before it had any effect. Nighttime usually brought calmer air, allowing the herbal smoke to settle around the campsite like an invisible fence. It was like having a bouncer at the door, except the bouncer was made of smoke and attitude. Burning herbs was just one part of the deterrent system. Crushed plants with bitter or pungent oils got scattered around camp borders like a chemical moat. These weren't random plants either. Generations of trial and error had identified exactly which ones worked best. Some made snakes feel nauseous. Others caused skin irritation. A few simply smelled so bad that even snakes, who eat things whole and live in holes, wanted nothing to do with the area. Campfire ash served double duty as both a physical and chemical deterrent. The rough texture bothered snake bellies, while the chemical composition also created problems. Wood ash is alkaline, which irritates sensitive snake skin. Ash holds scent longer than soil, so those deterrent plant oils stay active longer when mixed with ash. Food management played a crucial role in the deterrent system. Leftover food attracted mice, rats, and other small animals. Those prey animals attracted snakes. Keeping food and waste away from sleeping areas wasn't just about cleanliness. It was about not sending dinner invitations to every predator in the neighborhood. Multiple deterrent layers provided better protection than any single method. Combined together, these created an environment that most snakes would rather avoid entirely. Natural deterrents made areas less appealing to snakes, though they weren't foolproof. Even the best repellents sometimes failed, which meant developing a completely different survival skill. Sleeping outdoors safely meant training yourself to wake up at the first sign of danger. Native Americans mastered the art of light sleeping while still getting the rest they needed to survive. The human brain never completely shuts down during sleep. Even while dreaming, part of your mind stays alert for danger signals. Native Americans trained this natural ability until it became a survival superpower. They could sleep deeply enough to rest and recover, while waking instantly if something wasn't right. Different sounds meant different things. The rustle of wind through dry grass sounded completely different from a snake moving through the same grass. Mouse footsteps had a quick, light pattern. Snake movement was slower, heavier, with longer pauses. Learning these sound signatures was like developing radar for your ears, except way more useful than car radar that beeps at plastic bags. Training really paid off here. Children learned from infancy not to make sudden movements when woken at night. No jumping up, no loud exclamations, no quick gestures that might startle a nearby snake into striking. Instead, they practiced slow, controlled movements that allowed them to assess situations before reacting. Sleeping close together meant shared body heat, shared alertness, and faster group response to threats. One person might sleep deeper while another stayed more alert, then switch roles during the night. It was like having a night shift, except instead of watching for burglars, you were watching for things that could actually kill you. Keeping tools within reach required careful planning. A long stick or staff beside each sleeping person could gently push away curious snakes without creating confrontation. These tools had to be positioned correctly, close enough for quick access, not where they could be knocked over or grabbed accidentally in the dark. Tool placement became routine, like setting an alarm clock. Every person knew exactly where their snake stick was located. Practice during the day made nighttime responses automatic, kind of like muscle memory, but for not dying. The most important skill was staying calm under pressure. Panic led to mistakes, and mistakes with venomous snakes could be fatal. Native Americans practiced controlled responses until they became automatic reflexes. Individual awareness only went so far. Smart campers had backup systems that worked even when humans were sound asleep. Dogs and carefully managed fires provided 24-hour protection that never got tired or fell asleep. Native Americans used both to create an early warning system that worked all night long. Dogs weren't just pets in Native American camps. They were living security systems with better night vision and hearing than any human could ever develop. A dog's nose can detect scents that are completely invisible to human senses. While people relied on hearing snake movement, dogs could smell snakes approaching from much farther away. Dogs required training specific to snake encounters. An untrained dog might bark loudly at every snake, creating noise that attracted other predators. Worse, an aggressive dog might try to attack a snake and get bitten in the process. It was like teaching your dog to be a ninja, except instead of throwing stars, they threw meaningful looks. The best camp dogs learned to differentiate between different types of threats. They might bark at approaching humans or the large predators, using different signals for smaller dangers like snakes. This communication system was like having a translator who spoke both human and danger. Low-burning fires served multiple purposes beyond just snake deterrents. The heat created warm ground that snakes avoided, plus the light helped human eyes adjust more quickly if awakening was necessary. A dim fire provided just enough light for safe movement. Like having a nightlight, except this one could save your life. Strategic use of heated stones solved several problems at once. Stones placed near the fire during evening hours retained heat for most of the night. Positioned correctly around sleeping areas, they provided warmth for humans while creating heat barriers that discouraged snake approaches. Heat management involved understanding snake temperature preferences. Snakes seeking warmth would approach heat sources, though they preferred consistent, gentle warmth over intense heat. A blazing fire would drive snakes away completely, while dying coals might attract them. Maintaining the right temperature balance was like being a thermostat operator, except the consequences of getting it wrong were way more serious than someone complaining about being cold. The positioning of fires relative to sleeping areas followed specific rules. Too close meant risk of burns or accidental fires spreading to bedding. Too far away reduced deterrent effectiveness and made fire maintenance difficult. Smart placement prevented both fire hazards and snake encounters. Animal companions and heat management created a foundation of safety, though they couldn't prevent every snake encounter. When all the preparation failed, survival came down to knowing exactly what to do in those terrifying first seconds. When prevention failed and you found yourself face to face with a rattlesnake, your response in the next few seconds determined whether you lived or died. Native Americans developed specific techniques for handling these life or death moments. The natural human response to seeing a snake is panic, which happens to be exactly the wrong reaction. Fast movements trigger a snake strike reflex. Loud noises create stress that makes snakes more likely to bite. Panicking around a venomous snake is like honking your horn at an angry driver. It just makes everything worse. Native Americans trained themselves to respond with calm, controlled movements even when surprised by a snake. This wasn't about being brave. It was about staying alive. It was like defusing a bomb, except the bomb had fangs and was already ticked off. The long stick method was brilliant in its simplicity. A sturdy branch or staff could be used to gently encourage a snake to move away from the sleeping area without anyone getting within striking distance. The key word here is gently. Aggressive prodding would provoke an attack, while light pressure usually convinced snakes to find somewhere else to be. Most snakes, including rattlesnakes, would rather leave than fight. They strike when they feel trapped or threatened, not because they enjoy conflict. Snakes were basically the opposite of that one relative who always wants to argue at family dinners. They actually preferred to avoid confrontation. Snakebite treatment began immediately, not after someone decided to seek help. The first few minutes after a venomous bite determined how severe the effects would be. Native Americans developed herbal treatments that could slow venom absorption and reduce tissue damage when applied quickly. Binding techniques helped control venom spread without cutting off circulation entirely. A tourniquet that was too tight could cause more damage than the snake bite itself. The goal was slowing venom movement through the lymphatic system, not stopping blood flow completely. Community response to snake encounters involved everyone, not just the person directly threatened. Other family members had specific roles, maintaining the fire, preparing treatment materials, keeping children calm and out of the way. These coordinated responses turned individual emergencies into manageable group challenges. Training for snake encounters started young and continued throughout life. Children practiced calm responses during daylight encounters with non-venomous snakes. Adults regularly reviewed proper treatment techniques and emergency procedures. This constant preparation made survival possible when real dangers appeared. The difference between surviving and dying in snake country often came down to preparation, knowledge, and the ability to stay calm under pressure. Native Americans mastered all three, turning one of nature's most dangerous threats into a manageable risk through generations of accumulated wisdom.